Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and welcome to Small Biz Chat Live. I want you to know that we're going to have a special show tonight, and we're going to be talking about all different types of business leadership. Now, Small Biz Chat Live is a peer-to-peer interview show that gives small business owners a way to get and share invaluable business advice. The mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. And we've been doing this thing 11 years and we're not going to stop anytime soon. Tonight's video is being broadcast with 3 live guests, and we're broadcasting from my Small Biz Lady Facebook fan page, my YouTube channel, and you know we can't forget about my Twitter piece. We are live on Periscope on Twitter as well, so you can get this information however you want to get it. And please don't forget to leave us a comment. If you like something that one of my guests share, please retweet it. Please leave us a comment, give us a high five, an amen, whatever you want to do. But I want to make sure that you are getting tools and information that you need to take your business to the next level. We all know right now we are living in perilous times, and we need motivation, inspiration, and good ideas. And that is what we have for you tonight. You know, our goal at Small Biz Chat is to give you information, sage advice that's going to take your business to the next level. Tonight's guests are leadership expert Scott Miller. He's from Franklin Covey, and he's going to talk to us about how to go from management mess to leadership success. I love to say that, by the way. We're also going to be talking with HR expert Jennifer Leake, and she's going to help us learn how to work with your remote workforce. You know, everybody doesn't do so well working in isolation. She's going to give us some tips to help you help your team. And we're going to talk with John Clidy, and he's going to be talking to us about how to go from full-time side hustler to walking away from your 6-figure job and working your business full-time. So with that, I am very excited to welcome my very first guest. His name is Scott Miller, and he's the Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of Franklin Covey. But I've invited him here tonight because he's the author of the new book, Management Mess to Leadership Success. He's worked for Franklin Covey for 24 years. He started when he was 12, I think. Anyway, Scott hosts one of the world's largest and fastest growing podcasts devoted to leadership. It's called On Leadership. He's also the author of many books, including his latest, Management Mess to Leadership Success, 30 Challenges to Become the Leader You Would Follow. All right, Scott, welcome to Small Biz Chat Live.
Melinda, it's my pleasure. Thank you for the platform.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was really excited actually to invite you to be on after I read a little bit about your book, and I was excited to get to know more about you. And I really thought that what you talk about would really benefit my audience. And the reason why is because I think as small business owners, you know, we work on our negotiating skills, we work on our marketing, we might even take sales training, but leadership is something that we don't clue into, I think, until a little bit later on in your business, when your business is more mature, because we don't know, I don't know that we see the value of working on leadership super early in the business, because you're like kind of in survival mode in the first few years. So, the first thing I really wanted to ask you about is this concept of, okay, we're currently in a time of crisis. You know, people are trying to figure out what they're going to do next. Customers are not paying invoices. If you have employees, if you furloughed them, now you got this money. People are not wanting to come back because they'd rather stay on unemployment. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on out here, and small business owners are challenged with how to be a courageous leader facing a global pandemic. And I really kind of wanted to talk to you about that, because people don't know what to do.
Well, that's for sure. I think it's appropriate and fine to be scared. I think part of being a courageous person is being relatable. Part of being a courageous leader is being vulnerable. I think one of the talents that all business leaders should rally around right now is having high courage conversations with your clients, with your customers, with your staff, speaking with a consistent voice, making sure that you're declaring your intent and that there's no confusion around what your expectations are or theirs. I love this quote from one of our founders, and that is, nearly all, if not all, conflict in life comes from mismatched or unfulfilled expectations. So as a leader, I think just now more than ever, when you show courage, it might show up in different ways. It might show up in fear. It might show up in scarcity. your self-awareness around how you're responding to that is super important to how you treat your employees, your customers, your vendors, and how they treat you back.
I agree with you more. So how can we remain resilient and hopeful, like to help our teams stay motivated at this time?
Yeah, I think one, it'll be easier said on this program than done. But one is to think long term. I mean, obviously, we all have bills that are pressing on us, right? And invoices that aren't being collected, and people who were furloughing. And so it's hard not to think short term. But I would say balance your short term thinking with your long term thinking. The economy is going to survive. It might just survive differently. So I'd encourage all of your listeners and viewers to be thinking about, how are you pivoting? How are you disrupting yourself? What are you doing to prepare the way you've done business for the way you'll need to do business in the future? Because every one of us is going to need to pivot somewhat differently. Another one is, I think, as it relates to all of your team members and your employees, people like leaders who are relatable. People want to know that their leader is also scared. It's okay. I don't think you should project false confidence or project false humility. I think it's very important for everybody in your life to be able to talk to you rationally, reasonably, control your emotions, calibrate your responses, to put space between stimulus and response, right? Be very thoughtful around how reactive you are. Again, these are easier said than done, but people follow leaders they can trust. I don't need to follow a leader who has unbridled confidence, because usually that's misplaced, right? Usually it's a show or an act. I want to follow someone who, quite frankly, admits they're also scared and that they don't have all the answers. We're going to figure it out together.
Right. Well, I mean, so let's switch gears a little bit, because I think right now there's a lot of leaders out here who are what you would describe as a management mess. I mean, not only are their business finances probably a mess, their personal finances are probably a mess too. So trying to manage how you maintain your household while trying to save your business, there's a lot going on within the individual business owner, and trying to apply for PPP loans and waiting for the response and all, and then you click on the news and hear that 71 publicly traded companies got $300 million of the money that was supposed to come to us. So there's a lot of angst, and that's probably making people react very emotionally, in the workplace. And I wanted to kind of talk about, is any leader a management mess? Like, do we all kind of start out a mess and then we grow up and become big business leaders and then we're better? Like, how does it work that you go from being a mess to a leadership success?
I think every leader has a mess going on in their lives, in their marriage, with their kids, and with their accounts payable, accounts receivable. So let's kind of level set it. Everyone has a mess in some part of their life. And I think the sooner that you own your mess, that you recognize that you're not a perfect leader, everything's not perfect, you can't control everything. The sooner you own your own mess, the sooner you make it easier for other people to own theirs around you. So I'd argue that the first challenge in my book is called Demonstrate Humility. I mean, I'll do that right now. Like your guest as well, on today's program, I host a podcast. I have some best-selling authors. I'm an officer in a public company. I spent a half an hour this morning with my private school kids' headmaster renegotiating my tuition payments, because I'm going to be behind on them, right? My by 60% in the last 30 days, and there'll be no bonus coming to the Miller family this year. My income is going to be cut by a significant amount. I got a mess going on when it comes to some of my bills, right? I'm going to have to probably pay one of my mortgages payments a bit later, have it moved on. So I think I'm right here on your program right now saying I've got a mess going on. And some people might think that, the more successful you are, the less messes you have. No, the more messes you have, the more successful you are.
I believe there's a famous rapper who said, "More money, more problems."
I think so. Yeah, I think that's great. I think now is the time to demonstrate humility. Now is the time to be really honest and transparent and vulnerable. Call up your mortgage company, call up your lenders, call up your landlord, tell the truth, talk straight. Have a high courage conversation. Talk about your situation that you're in. Everyone is in the same situation to some degree or another. That will, I think, create such currency with you and the person that you owe, or perhaps who owes you. I have people who owe me that are calling me money, or calling me saying they can't pay. I understand. Let's talk about it. What does it look like? Right. I think the silver lining in this crisis is going to be leaders are going to own their messes. They're going to make it safe for others to own theirs. And everybody's going to reset their priorities a little bit on what's most important in life. We're already seeing it happening around the world.
Well, I think it's remarkable what has happened around the world, right? Because it's not like Italy is in a worse situation than the United States. I mean, or Nigeria is in a worse situation than the United States. I actually had a conversation with a colleague in Nigeria earlier today, and she was like, Melinda, she said, for once, Africa's not the one taking the hit. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I mean, she said, we've been through Ebola, we've been through,
Yeah, right.
Like, for once, it did start here. They can't blame us. Like, we only got 300 cases in Lagos. How about that? You guys got 70,000 people died in America. I'm like, I know. So it's like, it's become the great equalizer, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah. I want to talk about this concept of like, what do bad bosses do? Because I think we all kind of this concept.
Yeah.
What do good bosses do? They're great. They buy ice cream for everybody. Their doors always open. Okay. Well, what do bad bosses do? Because I really want people to kind of understand and hear this so that they might be able to course correct and really kind of understand maybe some of their own behaviors.
Sure. I'd say 3 or 4 things. I think bad bosses have low self-awareness. I don't think anybody wakes up deciding they're going to be a bad boss. I want to diminish you today, or I'm going to humiliate you. I mean, that's a sociopath. They exist, but the vast majority of bad bosses don't wake up deciding to be jerks. They usually have poor self-awareness. They have low self-esteem. What Dr. Covey, our founder, would say is they have a low private victory. I think there's easy things that they can do to circumvent that. One is, if you want to move from being a bad boss to being a good boss, you recognize that as a leader, your job is to get work done with and through other people. That you are not the smartest person in the room, that you're not the genius at everything, that your job is to be the genius maker of other people. Therefore, if your job is to get work done with and through other people, you see your role differently. You see your job as coach, as mentor. You become more patient. You slow down. You take the time to communicate the why behind the what. You set goals that are winnable for people, that you coach people continuously in ways that best work for them and may be different for each people. Melinda, the research shows in a Harvard Business Review that the average age that someone is permitted to be a manager in America is age 30. And the average age they receive their first leadership development training, age 42. There's a 12-year span of otherwise good people that are wreaking havoc across corporate cultures. I think the same is to be said in small businesses, right? Because you are an entrepreneur at heart, because you are an inventor, because you are a risk taker, does not mean you're a great leader of people. People don't come out of the womb being airline pilots or anesthesiologists. Why would we have the standard less for leaders? So I would say not everyone should be a leader. But if you are going to be a leader, there are some consistent things you should be thinking about. And one is, are you a maximizer or are you a diminisher? And so I think bad leaders can be turned into great leaders with a bit of self-awareness and really asking themselves, how do I want to be treated? What kind of boss do I want to work for? I want to work for someone who's kind, generous, has a high standard, that gives me courageous feedback and calls out my blind spots, sits me down and tells me when I'm doing things that are crazy. Tell you a great tip: if you are in the market to be a better leader, go around to the people who work with you or work for you and say, hey, what's it like to be in a meeting with me? What's it like to work on a project with me? What's it like to have me as your leader? And then go home to your partner or spouse and say, hey, what's it like to be married to me? You'll learn a lot. And don't just ask those who like you. Ask those who dislike you. Who are the detractors in your world? Because they're the ones who are likely to be the most courageous to you.
I agree with that. And Scott, you're on fire. I hate to stop you, but we got to go to break. But when we come back, I'm going to ask Scott about what is his biggest business disaster that he created. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. You're watching Small Biz Chat Live, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady. I know you might be thinking about quitting your business and going back into corporate America, but wait, before you give up, my new book, Fix Your Business, could give you a whole new lease on life. My 12 P's of running a successful business will walk you through step by step how to grow your business revenue, how to hire great people and streamline your processes, and so much more. Grab a copy today of Fix Your Business and get your life back.
Welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, your host, and I'm so excited to be here with Scott Miller. He is Executive Vice President, Chief Marketing Officer of Franklin Covey, and he's got a new book out, Management Mess to Leadership Success. All right, Scott, I got to hear it. I want to hear your biggest crazy story of how you just blew a leadership opportunity.
Well, it's hard to decide because there's 30 of them I share in the book, right? I mean, they're all pretty salacious, quite frankly. I think the one that I think is the most helpful for people was during my role as the Chief Marketing Officer, I realized that I needed to be the smartest person in the room. There was a joke that went around that said, best idea wins as long as it's Scott's. And I'm not sure it was a joke. And so I really had to do some self-introspection around why did I have to be the most creative, the most talented, the most educated? And I think that resulted, Melinda, in me recruiting people around me that were not the most talented in the world. I was threatened by them. I wasn't secure enough to actually recruit people and retain them that would eclipse my skills. So I think I actually did the company and our clients a bit of a disservice because I, for whatever reason, wasn't confident enough, wasn't humble enough to recruit people who were the most talented SEO experts or the world's best Google Analytics or the best digital designer. And as I matured, I realized, well, that's my job. My job is to be a talent magnet. And I think a lot of small business owners can relate. You aren't supposed to be the smartest person in the room. Your job is to set the conditions for others to unleash their creativity and bring their best talent and be comfortable not being the genius, but rather, as I said earlier, the genius maker of others.
All right. So if you had to boil down your 30 lessons in your book to your top 3 things you want people to learn, you just gave me one really good one, but give me 3 more.
I think declare your intent. Where there is suspicion, people make stuff up, right? When people suspect you of having an agenda, they're going to treat you that way. So be very clear in all of your conversations to declare your intent. Another one I think is understanding the difference between being efficient and being effective. A lot of high-producing, highly successful entrepreneurs are very efficient people. They're very productive. But you cannot be efficient with relationships. With people, slow is fast and fast is slow. Got to slow down. The third one I would say was having high courage conversations. As a leader, beyond recruiting and retaining talent, one of your most important contributions is to have the courage to move outside your comfort zone and discuss the undiscussables with the people who work with you. Might be on their technical talent, might be their collaboration, might be their self-awareness. Whatever it is, you owe it to them to have these high courage conversations. The longer you let them linger, the more they become issues.
I see. All right. Last question for you. What is the best advice you could give a small business owner right now who wants to be a better leader?
Don't over communicate. I think you can over communicate. The more you talk, the more you say things that are confusing. So be very deliberate, be very concise with your vendors, with your loan officer, with your employees, with your clients. Don't just be extemporaneous and make it up on the fly. We see this happening a lot in politics today, and it's quite unsettling. You can over communicate. Talk consistently, talk clearly, be vulnerable, own your mess. People are really gravitating towards those who are truthful and transparent People want to help people who are trustworthy. Talk straight. Don't make stuff up.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on SmallBizChat Live. I can't wait to finish reading your book. I've started it. I want to finish it because I want to be a better leader too. All right. Well, listen, when we come back on SmallBizChat Live, we're going to be talking with Jennifer Leake, and she is an HR expert, and she's going to be talking about leadership too, and how you can help everyone working from home work a lot better. All right. This is Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and we will be right back.
My new book, Fix Your Business, is really about encouraging people to take back control of their business and change how their businesses is run. It's not okay to skip paychecks. It's not okay to never feel like you can take a vacation. And it's also not okay to not know how much profit you've made in your business until your taxes are done. I really want business owners to stop letting their businesses be runaway trains. I've written this book to teach people processes and systems to help them run their businesses intentionally. My goal is to help existing entrepreneurs create a business that allows them to live their dream life.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SmallBizChat Live. Hopefully you're joining us live on my Facebook fan page, or you're over on our YouTube channel hanging out, or you are joining us via Periscope on Twitter. No matter where you're joining us, just know that we appreciate you and we want your feedback. I want you to tell me if you just got some great gems from Scott Miller. Leave us a comment. We want to give you what you need to grow your business and steer your business through these uncertain times. And now I'm so excited to introduce my next guest. She's a dear friend of mine. Her name is Jennifer Leake, and she is an HR expert, and she specializes in effective recruitment and retention of employees. She's the CEO of Assessment Pros, and she created the Get Engaged People System, a blueprint to help who and how you hire. And she's built a program to help people, grow and become more profitable by hiring the right employees. And so I'm so excited to have her here today, because now we're going to be talking about helping. Everybody's working from home. You might be managing a remote team, and she's going to give us some insight on how to help your remote team perform better. Jennifer, welcome to SmallBizChat Live.
Well, great being here, Melinda. It's always wonderful to hang with you.
All right. So let's jump in here. I know that how hard is it to manage a remote worker who's not used to working remote? I mean, like, some of these people are working remote for the first time. Can you talk to us about how we as business owners need to kind of be aware that this is tough for some people?
That's exactly what I was going to share when you said, what's hard to manage. What's hard about it is the how, because not everybody is the same. I don't think managing a remote worker is not really a lot different if you know the person than managing them in person, because you just want to avoid being a one-size-fits-all approach to managing. And that's with a remote worker as well as with a worker that's in your office with you. For instance, I'm reading about remote workers, and the advice I'm getting is very generic. It's saying, call them once a day and find out what they're doing and send them a personal note. And those are all wonderful. But I got to tell you, if I'm your remote worker and you're going to call me once a day and ask me what it is I'm doing every day, I'm going to think you don't trust me. And that's probably going to annoy me. So I think the first thing, what's hard to manage is it's even more important to know your people individually, to know exactly what motivates them, and we're going to talk, I want to share a little bit of what are some of the steps that are, or the things that make it hard for individuals. And I'm really concerned about this, Melinda, because before people were being successful in an office as a manager, as a leader. And now we have thrust them in a new environment with a lot of different things. And a third of them are going to do fine. And a third will struggle, but will be okay if you manage them appropriately. And a third are really at risk of failing, even though they were good workers before. So I'm just passionate about helping those 2/3 because we don't want to put them out into the unemployment. And we also don't want to lose key talent just because of the environment around us.
All right, so let's talk about that. How can you set your remote worker up for success? What do you need to do?
Well, I think the 4 biggest challenges, I said it's very similar to being in an office as far as who they are, but now they don't have a social interaction as much as they did in the office. You can't go next to walk over and talk to a coworker and ask their advice or something. So now they have no social interaction with fellow workers. They are having to manage their own time. When you have a question, you need a decision, there's communication delays just by nature that you're not all together. And then of course we have the home distractions. You're like Scott was talking about, he has to homeschooling and so there's just a lot going on at home, emotionally, mentally, as well as trying to get the work done.
Understand. So if I think the biggest challenge I have found to remote working is it just lacks kind of structure, right? People have these fantasies of, making millions in their jammies kind of stuff, so it's like, how can you help your employees sort of like establish basic working procedures, so that it doesn't affect the quality of their work? But obviously it is a more flexible work environment. But how can you help people build some structure and processes around?
Well, I've got a few tips. And one of them, I was just loving what Scott said, is I think you have to really have very clear expectations of the actions and the results you want. Scott mentioned that, if it's mismatched or unfulfilled expectations, that's going to set them up for failure. And the more metric you can make it, the better. So it's not just expectations. It's, if we can put some numbers to it, target goals, things like that, that's what you can check on too. How many calls did you make if you're in sales, or so the metrics. And then also make sure that they have the tools that they're going to need remotely. If you stick them in a remote environment and don't give them things, the technology, the materials that they're going to need, they had it before or they didn't need it before and now they need it. So you really have to give them that those tools that they need. And then I think you have to have a communication plan. You want to, how often should we meet? Once a day for some people, once a week for someone else. I'd be great with once a week, not so happy with once a day. And then when we do meet, do we have an agenda? What do we want to accomplish when we meet? And then there's going to be some unforeseen situations that can get in the way of our success. So can we anticipate any of them and come up with a plan for that?
All right, but what about our social butterflies? What about these people who need the social interaction? What do we do for them?
Obviously, these kinds of meetings are good because I'm a very big extrovert and I get my fix with my Zoom calls. And I don't know if other extroverts will agree with this, but I have found that I went to far too many meetings when I could, networking meetings, business meetings, whatever. And I am actually loving the fact that I don't have to go to as many meetings, and I'm going to revisit how many meetings I actually go to when I get to go to a meeting. Maybe I'll run to a bunch in the beginning for my fix, but I sure am reevaluating how many meetings I really need to be part of.
I agree with that as well. And then what about, you think it's important to get data on your employees to really understand their best work environment? What's the best way to go about doing that?
Well, I love that you said I'm an HR expert, and I really don't consider myself. I'm more a people analytics expert, and I do work in the HR field. So I think that some of the kind of information you want on people is you want to know what's their need for structure and progress and process. You know, are they by nature a good person at structure and process, or do you need to help them with that? And then I talked about time management. If you look at one of my, you know, the analytics on me, I am not so good with time management. That's why sometimes I'm working at 11 o'clock at night, because I haven't managed my time. So that would be something, how I organize my day would be some help I would need if you were managing me. We did talk about the need for interaction. So if I know their need for structure and process, and do we have that in place? If I know how they're going to communicate and interact, if I know they need help or don't need help or have it covered for their organization and time management, I got to know what's their comfort level in making decisions, because I may not be there to make those decisions with them or for them. And so give them either the autonomy to do it, give them the guidelines to do it, or have a plan for them to be able to, you know, text me or something if you aren't somebody who can make a decision. And then you want to know if this whole thing is stressful to them and why, and build that into your plan. And all of this is not something you're going to know naturally. You're not going to get that without some kind of an assessment evaluating those traits.
So, okay, so how do what are there some low cost, or, you know, because we're small business owners, so I don't need an enterprise solution. What is there some kind of software that I can use to evaluate employees so that I understand these things about my team?
That is why I'm so excited that you let me come visit you with you tonight, because I agree. I work with smaller businesses. I love smaller businesses. I think they keep the country operating and going. And when they come back in, we want to be able to jump in with them. But it is, a larger company could use it too. But I'm using a company called Best Work Data. They're measuring traits like how do you handle details? How do you handle rules? What's your assertiveness level? How much people do you need? How do you handle stress? And what kind of team do you like to work in? And the Best Work Data is, it was actually, we created this report, a report for remote workers about 6 weeks ago. And they feel that, you know, I talked about the 2/3 maybe at risk. They're so passionate at Best Work Data that they are offering this assessment at no cost. It's a 10-minute survey that you can get on your people, and it will give you a easy to read report on how to manage them based on some of the things we've been talking about tonight. And you know, so for instance, it's if you look at my report, the good thing about my report tells me that I am open to change and I can adapt easily to this remote working thing. The challenge is I need some sort of schedule, that I need some external accountability. I am terrible at keeping myself on track. And I also have a very clear work area. I come downstairs, I shut my door, I'm at work, I'm free from distractions, and you know, that's the kind of information that we want to know on our people, because I can have those insights into my worker. I can have insights on how to manage them. And the third report they're offering is insights into me as a remote coach. So what can get in my way to help you, as well as what can get in the way of you doing your work as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Jennifer, I'm going to stop you right there. We've got to go to commercial, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about how we can motivate that shy employee to turn their camera on when we are having a remote meeting. This is Melinda Emerson. I'm the Small Biz Lady. You are watching Small Biz Chat Live, and we will be right back.
Are you tired of struggling in your business, not taking a paycheck, dreading dealing with your business in the morning? Are you regretting even starting your business in the first place? Well, I know you're tired, and I also remember what that kind of tired is like. But the good news is, it's time to stop feeling that way. Stop! I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and my new book, Fix Your Business, is a 90-day turnaround plan to get back your life and reduce chaos in your business. I've been in business nearly 20 years, and let me teach you how to build a business that works for you. Grab a copy today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. Welcome back to Small Biz Chat. We've been talking with Jennifer Leake, HR expert, and she's going to talk to us now about, you know, this sort of like working from home etiquette, Zoom meeting etiquette, all that kind of stuff. All right, Jennifer. So are there, you know, sort of like phone manner and Zoom meeting protocols that people need to know about so that they can be successful?
You asked me before we went to break, how would I get my person to turn on their camera? And I'm going to say, I don't know if I would force them to do that, because we're still trying to manage and motivate these people, our remote workers. So if it wasn't vital to have it happen, they probably were shy and didn't speak up much when we had live meetings. So if they're there and they're contributing and I may call on them, I would probably, some of the stuff I'm not going to do any differently managing them than I would in person. They're still the same people. We still have the same things. At times, I think I would, if it was required, I'd ask them to turn it on. Maybe they don't have a camera. That's again with the technology. Do they have a camera to turn it on?
Right, right.
I'm not sure I'd force them.
And what about, phone meeting protocol and stuff? I find you still have to tell people, to mute themselves and stuff when everybody's got dogs and kids and stuff in the background. It's like, should people know that? Or do you have to kind of go through these sort of like housekeeping things at the beginning of every meeting?
Well, just think about it in live meetings. How many times do we tell people, put your phones away, turn everything on ringer, take your ringer off? So I said before, have very clear expectations of and metrics. So that's some kind of a metric. I think make sure you're if you can't mute your stuff, if not, then on Zoom you can mute everybody. So I think you start on time, you end on time, you have an agenda, you still have expectations for participation. If that was your culture and your protocols in the office, it probably will transfer to remote workers too. And if you didn't have it before, you better start having it. And then when you come back, maybe you'll have even better meetings when you come back to work.
All right, good stuff. And now last question for you. As the manager or business owner, how important is it for you to let your team know how to communicate with you? Because I've seen this where you might have a remote colleague who might escalate something that really isn't urgent, but because they want an answer, they want to make it urgent. You know what I mean? So how do you kind of manage people's, don't be calling me about dumb stuff kind of, how do you manage that as a business owner and you're busy trying to manage, your dogs and your kids and being a manager and your manager calling you? Like, how do you kind of manage all that?
Again, I may sound like I'm just repeating my answer, but if that was a kind of if a person's calling you for everything right now, I would doubt that is any different than they did when they were in the office with you again. That they probably were the one that asked you every day and came by and, and maybe was a little more high maintenance than another employee. And so again, it's going back to knowing your people, so you can anticipate it. Now you can set expectations. You can say, you can create communication protocols. All right, the first thing you do is text me. And then if I don't answer you within an hour, then give me a phone call. But do not be calling me every minute of everything that's happening. These are the same people you have had working for you. If you are surprised by their remote behavior, you didn't know them to begin with, and you really need some people analytics.
All right, good. Thank you so much for being here with me. I have really, really appreciated all of this valuable insight. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about how to go from side hustler to full-time entrepreneur. You're watching SmallBizChat Live. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to invite you to enter the Small Biz Chat podcast giveaway contest for the next 30 days. Starting today, you'll have the chance to win amazing prizes if you subscribe to the podcast. All you need to do is take a screenshot after you subscribe to the Small Biz Chat podcast and tag me, Small Biz Lady, on Twitter or Instagram. Once a week, I'll select a winner, and you have a chance to win one of my autographed books, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, or Fix Your Business, or you might even get a chance to win one of my limited edition Small Biz Chat podcast t-shirts. Don't delay. Subscribe to the Small Biz Chat podcast today.
Welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live. We have been talking about business leadership of all kinds tonight. And now we're going to talk about leadership of a different kind. I'm a big believer that when you start a small business, that you should start as a side hustler first until you get to the point where your business is actually throwing off real revenue, because we know that when you cut your paychecks off, they're off. So replacing your corporate salary is not so easy. But I have a guest here who has done it successfully, walked away from a six-figure job, and he could not be happier. And he's going to talk about, if you're ready, if you've been running your side hustle business and you looking for the information and courage to transition over, I got the guy here to talk to you about it. His name is John Clidy, and he has a very successful real estate business, but he was a state trooper for the police before he started his business. So I want all of you guys to hear his story. I've known him for a very long time. He recently released his first book called Leaving Six Figures, and he's here tonight to talk to us about, how he made this transition, because now he owns $7 million worth of real estate. He cannot imagine going back and punching a clock for somebody ever again. So, John, welcome to Small Biz Chat Live.
Thanks, Melinda. I'm excited to be here, and wow, a lot of good information on this chat today. So, thanks for having me.
Hey, I don't be messing around, John. All right, listen. So you worked a full-time job in law enforcement for how many years before you went off and became a full-time real estate agent? And then eventually you opened your own real estate practice, right? So you have many real estate agents that actually work for you now, right?
Yeah, I did 17 years and had this great idea that I was going to leave 3 years shy of a pension for life. So here I am. No, it was a well thought out decision, as I put in the book. And just like you said, I mean, it's smart to start anything out as a side hustle, because if you have family, Scott talked about his family, and you got to be smart. You just can't. You got to think about more than just yourself. And then obviously, if you get in the business and you bring others along and you're not right, then you mess up other people's lives too. So definitely need to be smart when you go from, the side hustle to the main hustle. But I would say the state police part of it was easy and hard. It was hard because I worked so hard to get that job or that career. I mean, it was like 10,000 people that applied and only a few hundred made it. So it was just at the time back in the late, I guess, mid 90s, a lot of people wanted to be state troopers. It was, $60,000 a year base. And, it seemed to be really good, and a lot of benefits and all these things. So it seemed to be good. But as you grow and your mindset grows in life, you start to say, is this who I really am? And you start to get some juices in you that you never thought you had. And, so you kind of, it plays itself out somewhat.
All right. So how did you get the courage to do it? Because how many years did you work the side business and work full-time as a state trooper? How many years did you do both?
For a long time. Really 1999, I got my license, and I did them for pretty much up until 2014. I worked, I was like minus 40, 55, 60 hours a week. And then at one point I was one of the top real estate agents in the country, and units sold. And I did, flipping homes all at the same time. So as you could believe, it was, I was able to go, but my body was like, no, you can't keep doing this.
Wait a minute now. And you have a bunch of kids too, like that. How many children do you have?
I have 4. I have 13, 12, and twins that are 9.
Yeah. So, okay. So wait a minute. So you're like, you're working full time as a state trooper. You're a real estate agent. You're flipping houses, and you got 4 little kids. Like, your kids are not that old. I thought your kids were older than that.
No, they're young. Yeah.
So your wife is a saint. Is that what you're telling me?
I love you.
That's what you're telling me. Your wife is a saint. Because I'm like, you were not running all those trains. That's a lot. Wow. I mean, I'm actually even more impressed now. So, all right. So let's get into this. So you're running the business. You're working full time, and you have like a dangerous job. Like, people shoot at state troopers. Like, it's not like you were able to just phone it in or kind of go to work tired, right? I mean, you kind of had to pay attention, because not paying attention, you could die doing your job, right?
Yeah, I worked across the bridge from where you are. I was in Camden, which was at the time when I was there, the most dangerous city in America, and it's only 9 square miles. So I was assigned there, and I was on the shoot team. So, but really, that's kind of what that there was times there that made me know that what, I can get myself killed because my mind was not there anymore. And I started to see the transition from business owner away from that, and then I started to say, I can get myself killed and other people killed. That was kind of the change in my mindset. Was I had to think about more than just myself and my family too. I mean, they're pretty important too. So.
Of course they are. So, all right. So you're doing all of this. What kind of support system did you have? Because I'm imagining you had to have some help to be, working full time and showing houses and selling houses. I mean, flipping. I mean, you tell me about the infrastructure and support that you kind of have to put around yourself if you're going to be, side hustling while working a full time job.
Well, listening to Scott, there's a lot of parallels. And what I didn't know is I thought I can do everything myself. So that's the part where I learned probably 4 or 5 years in this word called leverage. Really nice word. And then talent acquisition, what talent looks like. But I really didn't understand it, to be honest with you, probably until about 7 years ago when I joined Keller Williams, because I was really a practitioner. And I define a practitioner as, the doctor who, when he goes on vacation, you see the sign up that I'm gone for the 2 weeks and I'll see you soon. That's a practitioner. And I had to start becoming a business owner who was able to hire talent that can actually do whatever role they need to do with my, supervision and accountability and setting clear expectations. So, and I didn't learn that till really getting around like people like your guest and really reading books, just being a lot more smart around business as opposed to being that practitioner.
So, all right. So you ran your business almost 14 years while you were working full time. That's a long time, but I get it. Do you wish you would have transitioned sooner? Like, do you wish you would have walked away from being a state trooper, like, 5 years earlier? Like, do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do a lot. I probably should have left in 2007. I left in 2014. And it probably, I don't see it now, maybe 10 years from now, I think I'll see the toll that it did on me then. But I knew I should have left, but I think like anybody in that side hustle stage, Melinda, is that uncertainty and fear. And even when money still wasn't my reason anymore because I was doing well with my passive income streams, it still was that fear and that embarrassment that I worked so hard for this job and leaving it and just feeling, not right. It just felt not right. And I was like, I deserve to get that pension and that badge and shake the hands and really have this retirement party. So I really felt sorry for my own self. And then I was like, you know what? No one really cares. At the end of the day, no one really cares. So if I'm not happy and my life's not in alignment, then it really doesn't matter. So I started to really process it, ask a lot of really smart people that I trust, and map out a plan. And little by little, I'm like, wow, this is starting to make sense. There's some clarity here.
So I know now that you have quite a few real estate agents that work under you. So you're like coaching and motivating. I mean, you've got like a whole apparatus. How many folks do you have working for you?
I run the region that's almost 10,000 agents, and I own 6 market centers that we're well over about 1,200 agents. So we got a nice amount of agents in our world, and we actually had a call today. It's called Cultural Summit, and we had almost 1,000 folks on the Zoom platform. So, and we probably had over 2,000 chats going on. So it was a really powerful thing to see, kind of, 8 years removed of kind of what's been created from the start then. So it's really cool to see.
Sure. So how do you sort of like exercise your leadership skills to be, motivating? I mean, right now is a scary time, even though the interest rates are lower than they've ever been. Getting a mortgage isn't as easy. Like now I heard you got to have 20% or you can forget it, so is it getting harder in your industry, and how are you keeping people encouraged? Because the real estate business is a kind of like, if you don't sell a house, you don't eat kind of thing. So how have you been, kind of motivating the troops to help people?
Well, you're in Pennsylvania. So in Pennsylvania, we can't sell real estate. Real estate's not considered essential. We're one of only 3 states in the country that can't sell real estate. I'm in New Jersey. My businesses are in New Jersey and Delaware too, but it's unique. It's crazy because in Pennsylvania, these agents, especially in Keller Williams, are figuring out ways to be creative. And I see a difference in New Jersey as opposed. I mean, they're both a difference in profitability and things, but you could see the hunger because they know they can't do it. They're figuring out ways to do things that, whether it be getting their client base up, whether they're getting their business more in alignment now. They're, Scott talked about, financially getting yourself in a good place to really monitor those expenses and really being very purposeful around what you do. And I think for me as a leader now, it's like, I got to start here at my house, right? So if my family's not in place, I can't be in place. So I got to really make sure that my mindset's right every day. And then I motivate and get my family's mindset in the right place so that they can get through these days. And then I go into the business part of it, right? I kind of follow the God, family, then business kind of mantra in my life.
Awesome. Well, listen, you have given us so much wonderful information. You are a side hustle success story, and I love it. And just stick around, because now I'm going to bring all of our guests back, and we're going to do one of my favorite segments of my show, and it's called my Hit It or Quit It panel. And I call it that because you only get one shot to answer, and you have to hit it and quit it. If you go over 30 seconds, you're going to get the cowbell. We're going to kick you off. So don't do that. So right now, I want to invite Scott Miller and Jennifer Leake to come back alongside John Clidy. And I'm going to ask you guys some questions that are easy, that I know you guys all know the answer to. I'm going to ask you the same question, 30 seconds or less. Give me your best answer. So the first question is going to come to Scott, and then I'm going to go to Jennifer, and then I'm going to come back to you, John. All right. Is everybody ready?
Ready.
All right. Here we go. Tell me, what is your favorite podcast?
Anything from Seth Godin. Seth Godin is a famous leadership author, and so I'm a big fan of Seth's, This Is Marketing book, and Seth's got a great podcast as well. So I say Seth Godin.
All right, good stuff. Jennifer, what's your favorite podcast?
Yours.
You're very sweet.
But I don't think I have a favorite. I haven't been a big podcast person, but now I just launched a podcast. And so I'm watching others to learn from other people.
All right. So tell us the name of your podcast, Jennifer.
It's called Sales Hiring Straight Talk. And we launched it just in time for the pandemic in February. But yeah, Sales Hiring Straight Talk. I do it with a partner, a female partner. And it's all about how to hire salespeople. It's a 6-step process. However, the 6-step process could be used for anybody.
Good stuff. All right, John, tell me, what is your favorite podcast?
I have a whole lot, but I'm going to go with my man, Gary Keller, who's my mentor. Think Like a CEO with Jay Papasan and Gary Keller. And it's incredible because he really tells his journey, how he created the #1 real estate company in America. And then now, I don't know if you know, with this virtual platform, he was the only one 4 years ago that said, technology is the way to go. And everyone says you're crazy. And now everyone's going to technology in our industry. So it's kind of cool to watch the progression of where it started and where it is today.
I'm actually a big fan of Gary Keller. His book, The One Thing, is like one of my favorite business books, actually. So I'm an actual big fan of his. All right, second question. Jennifer is coming to you, then John, then you, Scott. All right, what is your favorite business app?
It's a new one for me. It's Slack. I am so sometimes confused. I know I've gotten a message from somebody, but did it come in Messenger? Did it come in LinkedIn? Did it come in my email? The threads get confusing. So I'm in 4 Slack groups, SLACK, if you don't know it. And you can put things in channels. And I have just found it to be a godsend in keeping things straight and, on track and things like that.
Love it, love it. I like Slack too. All right, Scott, tell me what's your favorite business app?
I have to tell you, I don't have one. I mean, I have, the apps on my phone are downloaded from my 3 sons. I mean, I got so much going on, parenting, and I'm a 60-hour-a-week officer in a company, teaching at my church, used to at least, podcast, radio program, books. I read an article for Inc. magazine. Girl, I ain't got no time for apps. I mean, I got a Star Wars app. I think I got like a Fortnite app. There's no apps that are business. Sorry. Show me up, John. What app do you have? You have 4 kids. Good grief. Business app. Good grief.
I was sitting there thinking too, I'm like, is it one of my kids' app I'm thinking?
Totally.
Melinda, the app that I do have, and I hate to be partial, but we have a KW app that's unique because it's actually, if you think of it, a pizza delivery analogy, when your pizza is late, you get on the phone 30 minutes and call the pizza delivery and says, where's my pizza? You really don't want to call. You just want the information of where the pizza's at, right? Well, the app's kind of like you don't want a on-demand realtor. You want on-demand information. So this app kind of gives you on-demand information of where your transaction is. So it's a pretty cool app.
Oh, neat. That sounds cool. All right. Now, John, I'm coming to you with this one. What's your favorite old school marketing tip? Your favorite old school marketing tip?
Old school marketing tip.
Make it good, John, because I'm going to crush this one. I got to make up for the business app thing.
Well, the one thing that really made me a successful realtor, and I never had any marketing class. Again, I'm a old Knox type of guy. Was the business card, meaning that I just let everyone know what I did anytime I seen someone. So the marketing strategy is always having conversations with people all the time, everywhere you are, and celebrating them, and then celebrating your business when you find the time to do so. And that's been my go-to, and it still works today. Even not in the pandemic, but before.
Right. All right, Scott, what do you got for me? What is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Yeah, well said, John. I mean, that's obvious. You win. Sorry, Jennifer, you can beat me, but I think it's great. I think relationships are everything. I think the further up we get in the organization, the more we are ensconced in our office on our 5th floor, the more we have people doing things for us. Get out of your office. Get out the old-fashioned way, face to face. Obviously, when the world is back, reset again. But people make this mistake. They think that people are your most valuable asset in a company. It's not true. People are not your most valuable asset. It's the relationships between your people that are your organization's killer app. And it's the relationships with your vendors, your clients, your suppliers, everybody around you. Take your time and get back. Move out of your office. Go out and meet with your people.
All right, good stuff. Jennifer, what's your favorite old school marketing tip?
Well, John took my first one, and then my backup Scott just took. So I'm going to quote Joanne Black, pick up the damn phone.
There you go.
Yes, magic happens on the phone. I completely agree. And I will tell you guys mine. I love writing handwritten personal notes to people. I still do it a lot. Whenever somebody buys one of my books and they want an autographed copy from me, I always send a note in it thanking them for buying my book. And it is amazing how people have taken the note, not the book, the note, and put the note on Instagram. Look, she sent me this note, so I still think making people feel important with a handwritten note still works very much. All right, last question, John, I'm coming to you first. What is your favorite business book? Favorite business book that you've read either recently or all time? And then I'm coming to you, Jennifer.
I have so many, but Scott, you might not like this one because it might be your competition, but I'm a John Maxwell fan. 5 levels of leadership, position, permission, production, people development, pinnacle. I think, it's been something, especially when we take on existing companies and you come in there and you think you're going to just fire everyone or you have this thought. You got to get in there. Just because you got the role don't mean you get the permission to lead those folks. So I think it's a great Bible of how to lead people.
I love it. I like that book too. All right, Jennifer, I'm coming to you next. And then Scott, I will end with you.
I'm not sure it's my favorite, but it's top of mind right now. Somebody posted on LinkedIn this yesterday or the day before the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And I'm like, wow, that was a great book. And right now, I don't even know where the cheese is, So I pulled it out off my shelf, and I'm planning to read it this weekend. So that's the one I want to put out there right now.
I do think it's interesting that at this time people are going back to books, like going back to them oldie but goodies that saved you the last time. So I appreciate that. All right, Scott, I'm gonna let you close it out. What's your favorite business book?
Yeah, the one thing for sure, this concept of goal setting to the now is transformative on focus and getting what you want to happen, not just 5 years, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, right now. This concept by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller and the one thing, the big idea is goal setting to the now, absolutely transformative for making your goals come true.
I couldn't agree with you more. My favorite business book, though, is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which is one of my all-time favorites. I have many. If my house ever burned down, I'd be like, save my son and please save my books. But definitely, my favorite is that oldie but goodie by Michael Gerber. Well, listen, thank you all so very much. Scott Miller, thank you so much for coming on. Jennifer Leake, thank you so much. John Clidy, I'm still trying to screw up your last name. John Clidy, thank you so much for coming on and being guests on Small Biz Chat Live this evening. I want to leave you all with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. If you want to learn more about my guest tonight, head over to my blog, succeedisYourOwnBoss.com. I am Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I will see you next time.